Donald Trump did an interview with Meet the Press, and he was talking to Kristen Welker and was talking about due process. And he said he doesn't know because he's not an attorney whether every person is deserving of due process. Well, if you read the 5th and 14th Amendments, between them, they both say that every person in every state is entitled to due process, which means they are afforded certain rights in court. Now, Trump supporters are going to come out and say, well, what about due process for the J6 crowd? They were put in jail. They were given due process because they had a chance to appeal for bond or bail, and the judge said no in a lot of cases and said, no, you're held pending trial. Then they had the trial and they were given a jail sentence. That is not the same thing. But Donald Trump says he doesn't know because he's not an attorney whether or not everybody is afforded due process, which is also rich coming from Donald Trump, who is a 34-time convicted felon, who had 4 criminal trials going as late as last year. And he is given more due process than a lot of people by being able to, by virtue of the fact he had been the front runner at the time for the Republican nomination for president, to appeal things and stretch things out by the fact that he was a former president. You know, they didn't do a lot of the normal things they would do with people who were accused of crimes. They didn't send the police to go arrest him. He was allowed to turn himself in. They didn't book him. They booked him, but they didn't hold him. They didn't hold him pending trial. They didn't do all of those things. They released him on his own recognizance. All of those things. He still had due process, but he doesn't think anybody else deserves it. No, screw them. He doesn't care. He's also mad that judges are blocking his attempt to deport undocumented immigrants without trial, without any sort of legal proceeding to determine whether they are here legally, whether or not the conditions are there to allow them to stay, or any of that. Donald Trump doesn't care about it. He just says, well, get him out of here, get him gone, I don't care. And he only wants to get what he wants, and that's that. Donald Trump doesn't know what's in the Constitution. He doesn't know if he has to give people due process. Republicans need to start waking up and looking at what the leader of their party is saying. He doesn't know how to be president. He didn't know how to be president in his first term, but he had good advisors around him during that term, and things were able to run smooth up until the pandemic. Now he doesn't have that, and he doesn't know what's going on. The Republicans need to wake up. He doesn't know how to be president. He doesn't know what is in the Constitution.